is it me or does this look like a turtleneck to you? How's it going, guys? It is Plastic Disasta back with another review, and today we're going to look at the HG Build Divers Grimoire Red Beret from the Gundam Build Divers anime. Okay, and just to get this out of the way, yeah, I am aware that this kit is based off of the original Grimoire kit from the G-Reco line, and I heard that kit is not the best. To be honest, I never built any of them, so hey, you know what? Might as well join the party. Better late than never after, like what, 7 years later? Well, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, the original Grimoire kit came out like 11 years ago, so 11 years late if you want to say that. So, taking a look at the box art, we see the Grimoire Red Beret. He's not flying, but he's skating across the battlefield with his two little buddies. This side of the box shows off the cool gimmicks, poses, the weapons, and the little buddies, also known as the mini moires. And on this side of the box, we got the back, front shot of the kit, and some information if you want to read. And cracking open the box, we got 5 bags of runners and a manual. The manual just shows off a familiar box art. Right over here is what it looks like in the anime. And over there is the pilot or builder or avatar of the builder. Checking the parts list, and looks like we're gonna have a handful of leftover parts. And moving on to the back of the manual, shows you what kit is based off of. Got some familiar poses, some details, and right down here is an advertisement of other kits, and looks like we got some add-on packs. I believe it's called the Tilt Rotor Pack, which gives the Grimoire Red Beret some propellers, some missiles, and some chainsaws. Interesting layout. And over here is a color guide if you're planning on painting it. Checking out the runners, runner A1 and A2 are going to be the dark green parts. They're going to share this chunk of a runner. Runners B1 and B2 are going to be the light green parts, and they're going to share this chunk of a runner. Runner D1 is going to be the blue parts. Runners E1, the red parts, and E2, the clear parts. Runners F1 and F2 are going to be the gray parts. They're going to be sharing this chunk of a runner. Runners G1 and G2 are going to be the last of the dark green parts, and they're going to be sharing this chunk of a runner. Finally, we have a small sheet of color correcting stickers and a polycap runner. So that's about it for the unboxing portion. Now, I'm going to have low expectations on this kit. That way I could be less disappointed. I'll put this kit together right now. I'll see you guys right after. Here's the kit all put together, and for building experience, well, I can say it's not pretty. It's full of seam lines, and when you're putting this kit together, you're gonna be like, are you serious? You'll know what I mean. Though if I have to be nice, the color separation on this kit is not too bad. And if you're planning to do some detail painting, it shouldn't be a big deal to you, but if you want to do the stickers, for the head, well, technically it has 3 heads, so the blue one goes behind the red one, this one goes behind the clear piece, this little one goes behind the head right here. And for the other heads, and I know I'm spoiling the little gimmick right here, the blue one, did you see that? Anyways, the blue one is going to have the yellow set, while the green one is going to have the pink set. And since we're on the pink, this pink circle right here, that is going to go onto the gun right here. This sticker right here, the one that curves, that goes onto this little turtleneck area. And these 2 rectangular stickers, they are going to go onto this part of the skirts. Finally, these 3 white stars, well, you only need 1, and that's going to go onto this area of the leg. And the other 2, well, you can give it either more stars or just give it to another kit. Moving on to seam lines, there are a couple that might be a deal breaker for you. So, starting off with the torso, there's one right over here. Like this, maybe it could go as a pen light detail. And you also have another one right down there. You also have one on the biceps and the forearms, like fronts and back. Now, here's the thing. This arm, I guess it should be, a little easier, but the other arm, you also have to deal with this little detail, so it might be a little tricky for you. Also have seam lines on the back of the leg, but it could go as a pan line detail. And moving on to the feet, you do have the seam line on this big wheel right here, and at the front of the foot there is like this little tricky seam line right here. And speaking of that, whenever you're messing with it, and yes, I know I'm spoiling the gimmick, this tends to like pop off a little easily, so I guess it decided to behave on camera for once. Could be a pretty out-of-box presentation. Overall, yeah, it is pretty much like a mixed bag right there. If you want this kit to look nice, you're gonna have to put like a lot of effort into it. And I had no plans on detail painting, but I am planning on giving like a full-on paint job. I'll probably do once this review is over. Anyways, let's move on to accessories. So we're starting off with hand options. What you see on the kit are the weapon holding hands, and you have one open palm hand. Except you have its basic shield. It does rotate. You can put it on the side of the arm or under the arm. And even though it doesn't like have a peg to connect to it, it just kind of like latches on to the arm. Except you have its little knife right here. Now this blade part is supposed to be silver, so you got some painting to do. And to store the knife, you see this little rectangular hole right there. That is where you store the knife, like that. Next up, it's gotta be like the only good part of the kit is this gun. This handle right here can move side to side. Now you might be asking, well, what's so good about this gun? Check this out. Take this part out, it's like a little grenade launcher. Take this out, it's like a little pistol. And you take this big old piece out, it's like a little Uzi. And next up is these little memoirs like I showed you earlier, and they have their own little articulation. The head is on a ball joint. The little arms can rotate, and so is the little legs. And it's got this little gun right here, even though it's not really convincing. I don't know, maybe you can drill a tiny little hole on it. But not only it has a little gun, if you open the backpack again, that is where you store the blue and the green knife. And once you give the knife, you can hold it like this, or you can store it like this. And moving on to gimmicks. Now, I already showed you this can flip out to be like a little stabbing thing, but this can open up and it can be like a little claw to grab on like enemies, and this thing can rotate. So moving on to extra parts, you got another of the shoulder pads, so you want to give it like 2, you could do that. And you also have the original bottom part of the feet, the front part of the legs, the side skirt, the shoulder parts, and the front skirt parts. Basically, if you're not a fan of the new parts, you always have the original ones. Moving along with articulation, the head is on a double ball joint, but due to the design, it can be a bit limited. Moving on to the shoulder and arms, it can swing forward. The shoulder pad can move this high, and the arm can go up. Well, it can't go too high because it can pop off. Other than that, this is the best you can do. So you got a bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, a little less than 90 degrees, and there's a ball joint on the wrist. And there's this cool thing you can do on the wrist. It can do one of these. Moving on to the torso, there's a ball joint up there, and there's a ball joint down there. It could do a crunch just a little bit of side to side, and it could swivel up here, and it could swivel down there. Onto the waist, this little thing can rotate. The front skirt can move out this far, the side skirt can go this far, and yes, it does rotate, and the back skirt doesn't really move. Not to mention there's a seam line on the thigh piece right here. Onto the legs, it does have this little swing mechanism. You get a thigh rotation. It could kick up this far. If you bend the knee, it goes a little higher, and it can go back that far. And as for the splits, like it's out of the way, can it do the full splits? Yeah, it can. Bend at the knee, 90 degrees, and moving on to the feet. it can go up this far, move down that far. Ankle armor is on a ball joint, and it does what a ball joint does on the ankle. And as for the pivot, I gotta say, it's actually not bad. Overall, the articulation on this kit is, well, I think you guys know what I'm gonna say. And I forgot to mention, if you guys want these guys, like, you know, flying in the air, you might want to have to do a bouncing act on one of these because it doesn't have a 3mm hole, or get one of those grabbing things. Anyways, going back to the Grimoire, well, I could pull off like a decent like skating pose, but if you want to talk about like a crazy pose, yeah, you can't pull it off. Moving on to size comparisons, here it is right next to the standard size Strike Gundam, and as you can see, the Strike Gundam is a tad bit taller than the Red Beret. Next up, here it is right next to another fellow Build Divers kit, the Momo Kapul. And finally, you got Optimus Prime, SD Ariel, and Lego Batman. So that's gonna be it for the size comparisons. Let's move on to my final thoughts. Moving on to my final thoughts. Overall, the kit, how can I put this nicely? I mean, it's got cool accessories, it's got pretty cool gimmicks, that's all I can say. After building the Grimoire, did it left a good impression on me? Not really. If you're okay from what you saw on this review, maybe go for it, and if it kind of pushes you away, you know, I don't blame you, because something tells me I'm gonna have to put a lot of TLC on this kit. Alright, so that's gonna be it for review. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. And if you're new here, want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe. Questions, concerns, comment down below. See you guys in the next video. Okay, so for this bonus segment, I'm just gonna be playing around just for a little bit. So you see these 3mm holes right there. I thought, okay, what if I add one of these like cannons from those Gundam IBO sets to see how it looks? And yeah, doesn't look too bad. And another thing you can do, if you're not a fan of like the red head, you know, you can always pop this off. Make sure you take this polycount piece out, and you can switch it with like, you know, either the blue one or the green one, and it should look something like this. And maybe if you want to, just paint this little armor piece into the matching color you desire.